All right, moving on to Leprechaun 2, Bride of Leprechaun. That's what it should have been called. Before I start talking about this, I did want to show, I don't know how many people have this. This is probably like $2 now. But when I saw this thing in the stores years ago, like this was a long time ago, 15 years ago or something. I thought this was the coolest shit because box sets back then weren't all that common. But the Leprechaun Pot of Gore collection from Trimark, bought this brand new at this DVD shop up the street from my house. Oh, fond memories of buying this pack. I just thought it was so cool. They had them all together and individual. You know, a lot of the times nowadays they like put them in one case and like a lot of like little flaps with other, and put a bunch of movies on one disc, and I hate that shit. Give me the individuals. This is the coolest shit, man. Then you can pull them all out, rifle through them. This is the way a collector wants it. Anyway, anyone have that set? I love it. All right, so getting into it. You know, the leprechaun, he gets fucked in the beginning and he loses his bride, so he has to wait 1,000 years. I mean, they just totally seem to ignore the events of the first one, like how he comes back 1,000 years later in this, but he was in the previous one at some point during those 1,000 years, or this takes place before, but he dies at the end of this one, he dies at the end of the last. Come on, guys. Like, it completely disregards the events of the first one, and it even ignores the rules set up in the first one. Like in the first one, he can't be touched by a 4-leaf clover, you know, and in this one, his weakness is iron. Like if iron touches him, that's like, it says it in the book, that's what he says his weakness is. That's like, it's weird to me that like they completely disregard the first film and all the rules set up. Like, why? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't really serve the story. I guess like they wanted the 1,000-year thing, and like maybe they could have made it take place before the first one, like a little prequel thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter, as I always say, but it's just odd. It's just odd that you set up rules in the first one and then they're just not applied here. I don't know. I mean, I guess he could have been touched by a 4-leaf clover and it would hurt him as well, but it literally says that iron is the thing that harms him this time around, and he's afraid of it this time around, and he wasn't in the last movie, so who knows, whatever. Someone who popped up in this movie is, you know, Clint Howard, and I just feel like anytime you're watching a movie, especially like a horror movie in the 90s or the 80s, and Clint Howard pops up, it like automatically makes it like a couple points cooler. Like, just love seeing Clint Howard. I just love the dude. And I love when he gets more prominent roles, like something like Evil Speak or The Ice Cream Man. Like, I always love Clint Howard, and just seeing him in anything always puts a smile on my face. We actually have a pot of gold in this movie. In the last one, it was just a bag that they find. So he kept saying, like, you know, give me my gold, anyway, pot of gold or whatever. In this one, he actually has a pot of gold. So I thought that was a nice touch. I liked the tour bus, you know, like the little tour hearse that was going around town. And I really liked the character, Morty. Morty, it reminds me a lot of Rafferty from The Heavenly Kid, or like Rufus from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's kind of got that feel to him. So he's definitely my favorite character in this film outside of the Leprechaun himself. Warwick brings it again. I mean, he embodies the Leprechaun here. He's easily the best part of this film, for sure. If it wasn't for him, this movie would be not great, because this is a considerable downgrade, in my opinion, from the first film. I was surprised at the drop off in quality here. I thought that this one would be a lot more fun than it was. There was some fun to be had, and I laughed a little bit, but I found a lot of the movie to be tedious. Kind of just waiting for the Leprechaun to get back on the screen because the characters weren't all that interesting and the acting was dreadful. Although I will say that the Bridget, the blonde, the main girl, had a really good scream. So like, even though she couldn't act, like when she was frightened and she was giving off those lungs, she had a good scream to her. So at least she, made a good damsel in distress scream queen material in that way. But her acting was rough, as was most of them. Besides Morty, though, I did like him. The scene where Morty's talking to the main kid here, you can see just slightly. It's like just the bottom half of a Friday the 13th Part 2 poster. Thought it was a cool little Easter egg. Like, you barely see it. All you see is like the bloody Part 2 at the bottom. I was like, why'd they cover that up? Maybe rights issues or whatever. But the one death that I always remember from this series is in this film, and it is the guy is lured in by Bridget's character, who ends up not being Bridget's character. He's being tricked by the Leprechaun, and she pulls her tits out, and it's clearly a body double. But that he's like putting his face into lawnmower blades. And I just remember as a kid, even, that I was just like, man, that would be the way to kill me. Like, I would be useless against something like that. I could put a hot chick with, tits in front of me, and she's like, come and put your face in them. It's like, who's going to say no to that? So I just always remember as like a kid growing up, I always remember that kill. And I always remember being like, that would be my demise. I would have no, I would have no protection against something like that. So, I like that this is set on St. Patrick's Day, and that they address that this is the Leprechaun's birthday. This is a problem I have with like any character that can do this, but let's talk about this movie because that's what we're talking about. The Leprechaun has the ability to teleport, and he just doesn't use it enough. Like, there's times where he's chasing people and they like go through a window and like they close the shit behind him. And he's like reaching through the window to try to get him, or like they lock him over here and he's like trying to get out. And it's like, but you can teleport. Like, I mean, I know the movie wouldn't be that fun if he just literally just kept popping up behind them every fucking second. Like, that would just be overkill. But because he has the ability to teleport, it just makes it silly to me that he wouldn't just use that more often. There's so many times in this film where he could have literally just teleported behind the guy, killed him in the end. Like, so giving him that power is, I don't know, it's kind of like you're writing yourself into a corner giving a killer that power. Because it's always going to make you wonder why not. Why is he not using it? I did like, though, that when the Leprechaun in this movie gets drunk, so do his powers. So he's hammered, and he's trying to use his powers to bring this ashtray over and knock the characters out, but he's so drunk, it's like wobbling around, and he can't. So I thought that was cute. And then he has to like go to a coffee shop to sober up. He doesn't just cut away and just completely disregard that later. It's like, no, we actually get to see him go sit in a coffee shop and sober up. I thought that was hilarious. And then the barista, owner, manager guy that's in the coffee shop is a dick. He sees this little person on St. Patrick's Day dressed as a leprechaun, and in his mind, and he is just ridiculing this drunk little person in his establishment, and he asks him to leave, and it's like been 20 seconds and he just starts hammering him with insults and jokes. about his size and how he's short, and he'd give him some cash, but he's probably a little short, and in the laugh he gives is one of the most over the top ludicrous laughs I've heard in a while, and it was like, kill this fucking guy, he deserves it. And he did, and I was happy about it. There's also a scene in this movie where once the leprechaun is drunk and he like hits the guy over the head and then he runs off, like the main kid goes to go look for him. And I know I bring up Manos Hands of Fate, if you guys haven't seen that, Mystery Science Theater 3000. If you haven't watched that show, I don't know what you're doing with your life. It's like the funnest show of all time. But it reminds me of the scene in it because the kid runs off to go look for the leprechaun. He's gone for like 3 seconds and he comes back, like walks back in and casually says to Morty, who's sitting there with like holding his head, he's like, there's no sign of him. And he sits down, he's like, tough break, kid. And it's like, there's no sign of him? Not only are you casually fucking strolling back in 3 seconds later, you didn't even look for him at all. So yeah, there's this scene in Manos where the mom goes to look for her daughter who's missing, and she literally like cracks the door open like a half an inch. And she's like, well, she's not in there. And she like leaves. It's hilarious. They make a great joke about it. I want to ruin it if you haven't seen that episode. And we yet again get another souped up like car that the leprechaun seems to build in 2 seconds. It's like this little go-kart with like spikes and shit on the front of it, and this time he's actually like taken extra time to decorate the thing. He's got like I want me gold spray painted on the side and like a shamrock on the fucking front of it with like an X through it, like a no smoking sign with like a shamrock instead of a cigarette. So funny. Like, we see little things like that, but we don't ever actually sit back and think about the logistics of that. Like, he not only took the time to build a go-kart of death, but also took an extra moment. Yes, he's magical, so it only takes a moment, but he actually put the thought into it to write, like, I want me gold, and put a shamrock on the front, all that stuff. Like, I know it's ridiculous to even think about that kind of stuff, but I can't help myself when I watch these movies and I watch those situations and just start thinking about the mindset of the leprechaun in that moment, being like, oh, you know what would be really funny? Is if I put this here. If I put this here. Like, that, says, that speaks for me. That says my message here. I'm gonna put it on there so people know. I don't know. I overthink films, but hey, I mean, that's why I do this channel, because I overthink things. Another thing that they kind of set up here that makes no sense is that the kid gets a piece of his gold, and so the leprechaun can't harm him, which ignores the events from the first film outright, because, the fucking Francis from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I can't remember his name in the movie, but he swallows a coin of his. So that guy should be fucking like completely protected until he has like some enchiladas and has to shit him out. But like, he should be protected from the leprechaun going off these rules set up in this film. So it's kind of like they really just completely disregarded. But anyway, so this kid has one piece of gold on him and he can't be harmed. But then Morty uses his first wish to wish for the leprechaun's gold. The leprechaun's gold goes into Morty's stomach, and you actually see like his skin is stretched to the shape of the bucket, or the pot of gold, which is hilarious looking. But Morty has all of the leprechaun's gold inside of him, but then the leprechaun can come out and slice him open and kill him to get the gold out. I mean, technically he used a wish to do it, but he still harmed him with the gold. So I don't know. That seems like some fucking a little walk around of the rules set up. And also the fact that the leprechaun can't tell the difference between a piece of fucking chocolate wrapped in tin foil and his gold piece. I don't know if you've ever held gold in your hand, especially like a thick gold coin, but it is heavy as fuck. And a piece of chocolate is light, and it's completely a different texture, a feel. This is a leprechaun that can, he pours out this entire thing of gold on the girl's body. And in a second, he notices that coin is missing. So he knows it well. He knows it intimately. But when he hands it to him, he doesn't realize that that thing is like smooth and soft and has round edges. And that other piece clearly has rougher edges and it's much heavier. Like, come on. Like, I get it. These movies are stupid. I always have to point that out, but come on. It's so fucking stupid. I also love that they're like deep in this underground cavern where the leprechaun has made his home and his hideout, and he's down there with Bridget, and then the main kid pulls up in his car, and Bridget and the leprechaun are down there, and you hear the car like it's like pulled up right next to them, and he turns around and he's like, oh, he's here. And it's like he has to walk down like a mile of tunnel to get there. And somehow they can hear his car perfectly. And it's not just the leprechaun. Bridget can hear it just as well as he can. I guess he just has like, I don't know, mics rigged up outside. And I do love that the leprechaun seems to be super horny in this movie. He hasn't had sex in 1,000 years, he says, and he can't wait. And he gives her that tongue kiss. Oh, that was disgusting. He's got a little forked tongue in it, like a bunch of like goo shoots out of his mouth onto her. I don't know if that was him fucking ejaculating or whatever, but it was disgusting. Anyway, and I do love that when he sticks him with the rod. That sounds pornographic. He like shivers. He almost has like this Big Trouble in Little China moment where he just fucking like just out of nowhere blows up and his body blood parts go everywhere. They did a good job of making that look like the leprechaun that Warwick Davis is in this. Like, it looks like the cast of him that blows up and it's all chunky and is, you know, full in the heads and everything. So I thought that was a really cool way to off him. There's just like lots of funny little moments in this movie, like the little like I don't know if he's like a lawyer or whatever. He reaches down to hand him like $1 and he's wearing a ring, and the leprechaun literally just like reaches up and just twists the finger off like it's nothing, like it's soft butter. I love how easy the finger comes off of the guy's hand. It was one of the things that made me laugh out loud. But as I said, I feel like the big problem with this movie is that the acting is pretty lame and the characters aren't great outside of, you know, Morty, which I said, and I liked pretty much any interaction Morty was having with people, but he's not in it enough. So just the two leads here, the girl and the guy, weren't really doing it for me, and I think that's what made this a huge downgrade. Because in the first movie you had Larry Kazamass and you had freaking Jennifer Aniston and you had, you know, Francis, and you had that kid. They were great characters. Every time that anyone was on the screen, I was having a good time. And this movie was kind of just like, all right, let's get back to the leprechaun. So I remember really liking 3 when they go to Vegas. So let's see if that holds up. All right, guys.